meeting of the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel of the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Herndon.
Present.
Director Jackson.
Present.
Director Reza.
Present.
Director Zomber.
Present.
And Chair O'Halloran.
Present.
We also have Director Ferguson staying this evening.
Present. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited at a prior meeting, so we will go right into the access information. This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building. This meeting is also broadcast on the MPS YouTube stream, the link to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience. Are we able to bring that up? Should we move on to kind of some introductory things and come back to that? Okay. For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our secretary, Dr. Owen Moore. We have no virtual speakers registered for tonight's meeting. The committee will accept public comments on tonight's agenda items. Speakers may only address the item for which they have registered. Questions from the public may not be answered during the public comment period. Following public comment, the committee will begin its discussion and no additional comments will be accepted. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record. For the sake of fairness and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Written testimony will be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53201-2181, or fax to 414-475-8071, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictates that all comments, questions, and requests should be directed to the chair of the committee, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. The board appreciates and encourages stakeholder input and assumes that members of the public will participate in a civil manner. Conduct that prevents the good order of the meeting will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages in behavior that persistently disrupts the meeting may be removed from the meeting. Anyone ejected from the meeting may continue to listen to the meeting or access the agenda items online. However, the individual will not be allowed to rejoin the meeting. Also, no one other than members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees. Finally, for our listening audience, if you wish to access this evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting the Meetings, Agendas, and Minutes page of the MPS website. Were we able to, okay, we're going to have the interpretation services
Buenas
for...
tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta de la Mesa Directiva de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si desea escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799 e introduzca el número de reunión 832-0725-4267, seguido por el símbolo de número. Luego, introduzca el código 883149, seguido por el símbolo de número. Nuevamente, para escuchar esta reunión en español, llame al 312-626-6799 e introduzca el número de reunión 832-0725-4267, seguido por el símbolo de número. Luego, introduzca el código 883149, seguido por el símbolo de número.
Thank you. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1.
Madam Chair, item 1 is action on recommended administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, salary increases and decreases, and limited-term employment contracts exceeding 60 days. The recommendation is that the board approve the appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, salary increases and decreases, and limited-term employment contracts exceeding 60 days as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casella, Superintendent. The administration requests your approval of this item as attached and pertains to the recommendations and appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, as well as salary increases or decreases and LTE employment. Additionally, this month, we would like to notice the board that we are diligently working to fill as many vacancies as possible before July 1. The administration will bring a revised list for the full board meeting. I have with me Carol Eady to respond to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We do not have speaker slips on this item.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Reza.
It's been come to my understanding that we have now selected a new principal for Alba. This has been in discussion for the past year. I'll get to my point. I just wanted to clear things up that there has been a lot of communication in regards to this. Please note that everything was done in protocol, everything was done in order, and just to make things that there was communication in regards to this. I just wanted to make a statement in regards to that. Thank you.
Okay. Administration, do you have any comments or? Okay. Any other committees, members? All right. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson.
I move to approve the administration recommendation of the appointments and promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications as read.
I second.
Thank you. Okay. No, that's okay. At the committee level, Madam
Don't need
Secretary,
a
I don't
second,
think,
right.
but I
That's okay.
appreciate the enthusiasm. Is there any further discussion then? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation as attached, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 2 is action on monthly personnel matters, action on classified personnel transactions, action on certificated appointments, action on leaves of absence, report on resignations and retirements, and the affirmative action report. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and leaves as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casella, Superintendent. The administration requests your approval of the monthly personnel matters as attached in this month's report. I have with me Carol Eady to answer any questions if you have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips on this item.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Zomborn.
I move approval of the administration's recommendation on monthly personnel matters.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation on monthly personnel matters, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Before we proceed to the next item, on behalf of the board, I would like to congratulate all of the candidates listed in the previous two items. You're now one step closer to appointment, promotion, or transfer. Thank you for bringing your talents to serve the Milwaukee community. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 3 is action on approval of the 2025-2026 salary schedules. The recommendation is that the board approve the 2025-2026 salary schedules as presented in the attachment.
Would the administration please present this item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli is superintendent. On June 24th, 2025, the board will vote on the FY26 budget. In anticipation of an approved budget, we ask the board to approve the 2025-26 salary schedule to take effect July 1, 2025, as indicated in the corresponding attachment. The salary schedule includes a 2.95% cost of living increase in accordance with CPI, the Consumer Price Index. In full transparency, it also includes a new line for a deputy superintendent that I discussed with you at the work session. And so that was not there previously, and I just want to bring it to your attention as we seek during this time of having a number of threats facing the district, including our lead action plan, our IT work, nutrition work, transportation work, our work with the CAP, our HR work that we need to do according to our audit, the academic audit work that we're doing, and also the work of focusing our academic agenda. When we were in the work session, I discussed these threats and talked about the need for these two deputies, and said that, if they're not going to be needed in the future, we would consider that, but I just wanted to make you aware of that, and I request that you approve the salary schedule.
Thank you. I do have one speaker slip, so before we go to committee members, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go to the public. So I'm going to call Mr. Owen Driscoll. Please come to the front. In your stole, congratulations. Please state your name, spell your last name.
Owen Driscoll, D as in David, R-I-S-C-O-L-L. Hi, Dr. Casillas, members of the committee. I'm here today both for the valedictorian, salutatorian recognition, but also to advocate for our school secretaries and school safeties. Currently, in the proposed budget, they're starting around $30K. School secretaries start a little over $30K. Safeties start a little under $30K. These are critical positions for our schools that really shape school culture. I do not believe that this pay is reflective of their importance to the school culture. I understand that the salary schedule might be set, but I think that it is important to consider going forward how we may better support our critical school safety and secretaries. One alternative or one thing for consideration would be to have fewer positions with better pay and more training. I think more training should be a given, and I don't think that would require changes to the salary schedule. We have very high turnover with school safety and school secretaries, and that leads to a lot of vital functions not being fulfilled when they're not properly trained. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely.
All right, do we have any other speaker slips on this item?
That was our last speaker slip on this
All
item.
right, thank you, Mr. Driscoll. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson.
Nothing, just an acknowledgement of his statement. I appreciate all that you said, and congratulations as well. It's good to hear students speak up on behalf of safety and secretaries too, so thank you for that.
The importance of having a student rep on the board.
Any other, okay, I'm sorry, President Zampour.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. Would the administration maybe just be able to talk a little bit to the speaker's point about what we can do moving forward, looking at some of our lowest paid workers, and if there's any ideas you have?
Administration?
Director O'Halloran, Director Zambor, thank you for that question. I think it's really, really important. We took one step, it's a small step this year in the budget with creating holiday pay for some of our facility workers who didn't get holiday pay before. That was brought to my attention, and so you can be guaranteed that we will look at equitable pay for our workers and every opportunity that we have. I know that we have a really big deficit next year at $100 million, but I'm committed to making sure that we have equitable pay across the pay scale, and we could engage in a compensation study and make sure that we are comparable to other districts within the region and other large urban districts, and I think that would also help us.
President Zambor, any follow-up? I would just add, I think everybody would appreciate that because I think the secretaries have been waiting for a compensation study for a minute. So what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson.
Absolutely. I move to approve the administration recommendation of the 25-2026 salary schedules.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Oh, Director Herndon.
I agree wholeheartedly. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And with that, I vote, I second the motion.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, then Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation regarding the 25-26 salary schedules, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Reza.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 4 is action on negotiated collective bargaining agreements with PAMPS, the Psychologists Association in the Milwaukee Public Schools, and MTEA, Milwaukee Teachers Education Association, teachers, educational assistants, and bookkeepers and accountants. The recommendation is that the board approve the collective bargaining agreements as attached.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli as superintendent. This evening, we are asking your approval of a 2.95% wage increase for all MPS employees to take effect July 1st, 2025, as indicated in the corresponding attachments. I have with me this evening Carol Eady to assist in answering any questions you may have on this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips on this item.
Okay, thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, I don't see any. So what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? President Zambor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I move to approve administration's recommendation on the negotiated collective bargaining agreements.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation regarding the collective bargaining agreements as attached, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Reza.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
And Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 5 is report with possible action on an update on the corrective action plan. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Thank you. Would the administration please present this item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli as superintendent. The Office of Finance and Accountability and Efficiency have been working feverishly, as you know, in an effort to meet the demands of our corrective action plan and to be able to give to DPI the required items. This evening, I'm joined by Ms. Aicha Saba, who will, in conjunction with Matt Chasen and myself, provide us with the CAP update and any questions that you have. Following the sharing of this information, we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair O'Halloran and fellow AFP members. Aicha Sava, Chief Financial Officer. So this evening, I'll be giving you an update on our CAP, or our CAP 2.0, that was approved on January 30th at the last board meeting. As we had discussed then, I also put, there's a letter in the file that talks kind of what each section of the CAP focuses on. So section 1 was anything related to FY23, which was all closed out back in January. And then section 2 is all related to fiscal year 24. Section 3 related to fiscal year 25, and then section 4 is all of our process improvements and system changes. So what I wanted to discuss briefly today was, so section 2 is obviously the crux of where we are right now in the Office of Finance, and we are, like Dr. Caselius mentioned, we are working with DPI and our auditors every day, and we are working this week and next week so that we can get the aid calculations out for DPI and working to finish out all of our numbers. And we're in the last phases of our 24 financial audit and making sure that our external auditors, Baker Tilly, get everything that they need as well. And then section 3 kind of really focuses on how we're going to improve our fiscal 25 reporting and how we're going to get back onto our normal reporting. I want to say that we have a great plan to get back on meeting all of our deadlines. We're adding kind of some outside contractors to kind of help us kind of get some surge capacity and to build the framework so that we are so that we're getting onto each deadline, and at the same time, we are working in fiscal year 26 and developing our processes and procedures that we're redesigning in order to build back, you know, a strong internal control environment. So we are, again, using those external contractors to help us, you know, rewrite some of our SOPs and make sure that all of our processes are in place. And then finally, you can see in the CAP, 4.8 actually talks about getting us into WFR compliance and EdFi integration with DPI. And we are, again, using some external help with this, but we are kind of going on an aggressive timeline to get that all figured out and done so that we can be compliant with WFR a year earlier. And I just want to say that those are kind of the 3 lanes that we're going in right now, but we have a great plan in place to kind of make sure that we are on time and on track for FY24. And like Dr. Casellia said, we are really working to get FY24 done. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any speaker slips from the public?
We do have one speaker slip from the public.
Okay. All right. Mr. Quentin Claybon. You know the routine. Please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Thanks so much, Quentin Claybon, K-L-A-B-O-N. Appreciate your time. I appreciate you talking about the corrective action plan. I hope the people or forces that led you not to update it since January lose power in the future. You have an opportunity now to be open about where you are, although I appreciate some of the detail just now. First, the longer the 2024 documents are out, the longer tens of millions in funding is withheld. It sounds like in the next couple of weeks is when it'll be finalized. I hope that you could pin down an exact date. Second, DPI said nothing publicly until May. So what did the Department of Public Instruction do when you missed the March deadlines, which were the adjusted, belated deadlines? Did you discuss a communication strategy together? And what date did you tell them you would not hit the May drop dead deadlines? Third, given that 2024 documentation was likely to be late anyway, it is wise you aim to stay roughly on track with entries and processes for 2025 documentation. Sounds like you're optimistic about getting back on track for this year we're about to enter. However, 2024 delays or process improvements may have delayed that. So genuinely, is Milwaukee Public Schools on track to turn in documentation on the actual September and December 2025 deadlines? Or will you work with DPI to have kind of these adjusted March, April belated deadlines for those? And then fourth, what assurance can you give the board and public that that will occur, especially with the new auditor? Will there be a third and final corrective action plan? So just laying out a little bit more of the details, pinning down some exact dates would be really helpful. Thanks for answering difficult questions. I pray you get back on track so this year is uneventful. You all can get your free time back and the finance office becomes a more attractive place to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other speaker slips on this item?
We do not.
Okay, thanks. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I see Director Zombor, maybe Mulling. Pardon? Do you want me to go first?
Pass the gavel. and you
Sure.
go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just on the, with the surge capacity, would administration be able to speak a little bit about, that the plan for 2025 to get back on track, the goals, and the confidence in the goals? Are we setting realistic, those achievable goals? So any insight that administration could provide about the upcoming year would be great.
Director O'Halloran, Chair O'Halloran, thanks for the question. Like Ms. Salva said, we have designed a plan to work on 24. We have 3 streams of work right now that the Finance Department is doing. The first stream is to finish the 24, and we are optimistic about getting finished. I think every day we feel like we're closer and closer, Matt, right? And so we're hoping that we could have been here today, given some really good news, but expect that coming up here soon. Second is the 25, the FY25 audit that is due December 15th. And we know that we have an August 29th deadline, we have a September deadline that we need to meet. So we have contracted with an outside vendor who is going to be working with us on project management and also helping to provide surge capacity to the team. Then at the same time, we're working on a third stream of work, which is going to be creating the processes and the control environment that would be fully WOOFR compliant. That means our system talking to the state system so that what we put in is actually easy to push, goes in, and we're not going to see the kind of errors that we see out of the system that we're seeing now, making it extremely complex and very tiresome and difficult for our staff to continue to have to clear those up. And they'll work with us on that. We also have engaged with the Council of Great City Schools, who is going to work with the public and work with us and work with our teachers and work with our principals around centralizing our budgets. All of this is going to help for greater efficiency. And I want to make sure that folks know that there will be an equity lens to how that work is, and principals will also have feedback into that process for centralizing budgets, and it'll be a fully agreed upon process for how much we centralize, how much school autonomy is at the school. And so that FY26 work is going to be ongoing with the Council of Great City Schools as well as our outside project management vendor. So both surge capacity, project management, and building the new system, and then also centralizing budgets are our key goals by end of December. Big projects in the Finance Department. I don't know if Mr. Chasen wants to add anything to that.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. Just to piggyback what's already been said, it was in May of 2024 that the district received the notification from DPI, and of course our fiscal year runs through June 30th on a regular calendar. So the opportunity for the finance team to begin any corrective actions related to management decisions, leadership decisions that were made that put us into this space didn't even begin until that was nearly done. So that's a little bit of the level setting of the expectation for us crossing the 24 finish line. And secondly, I just want to offer again, I had mentioned it at my last update as well, I have, having been in the trenches since the beginning when received that letter, the tone from this leadership, Dr. Casales, is entirely different. There is an expectation that deadlines will be met. There is adequate support that is being supplied. And so it just feels different this time around as well. So let me offer that as additional insurance as we move forward. Thank you.
Any follow-up?
Just as a technical matter, so I know sometimes we use acronyms and words that maybe are meaningful within our bubble, but when we talk about like WOOFR compliant, it would be helpful if in the future, if you're not ready to talk about it now, just if administration can make that use accessible words so that our listening audience and the 3 people who showed up tonight are all on the same page about all of the acronyms and whatnot.
That's such a good reminder, Director O'Halloran. And WOOFR is a system of understanding the way that we budget and account for our revenues and our expenditures. And then the language that the state has is called WOOFR. And the language we have is a little bit different. These 2 languages have to speak together. So that's what I was trying to explain when you had to have them speaking to one another within a framework and accounting language, I guess. I don't know the acronyms, though. It's Wisconsin Uniform Funding
Wisconsin Uniform
Finance.
Accounting Chart. It's pretty much it's the chart of accounts that all school districts in the state of Wisconsin is supposed to use so that they're in alignment with the state. And we are on our way there. And once we are fully there, that will make all of our reporting, our budget and actual reporting up to the state, a lot more seamless.
Thank you.
Any more? Okay, I'll pass the gavel. I have a question.
I'll take it back, and I do appreciate, thank you for kind of giving that explanation about the
thank you for the
crosswalks
reminder.
and like how that throws errors sometimes. Director Herndon.
Yes, thank you. My question is regarding the computer itself. Did we have to change that at all, or is that good? We simply got to change the software?
Administration.
Director O'Halloran, Chair O'Halloran, and Director Herndon, we don't have to change our computer or the software system. We will continue to work with our software vendor. We actually have convened several meetings with them already and are working with them. They understand the project scope and what we are asking them to do, and we are also holding them accountable to deliver because there are changes that they need to make for us.
Thank you.
Any follow-up?
No follow-up.
Okay. Director Zombor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. First, I just want to thank everyone. I know I swung by Memorial Day weekend, and everyone was here working, canceled their plans to keep meeting these deadlines, working towards the deadlines. My question was around, I know Dr. Cassellis, you mentioned that we'd be bringing in an outside vendor for project management. Is the intention then to move, and I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but to move Mr. Chase, and I know if DPI is listening, they would have a heart attack right now if they thought we were pulling Matt from the whole project. But what is the long-term plan for the CAP project management piece, knowing Office of Accountability and Efficiency is still going to be here for that support? Is the goal to move that project management to the vendor or back to the administration side?
Administration.
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zombor, we actually haven't gotten that far. Mr. Chasen has a new level of technical expertise that I think we'd always be calling on him for that, but we will have project management mostly being handled by the vendor, I think, which would free him up to get back to his duties. But I think as a technical assistance and the continuity of it and understanding where we were and where we are, he has the knowledge that others don't have, and he'll need to be a really important member of the team moving forward.
President Zombor, any follow-up?
I guess then along those lines, would we be updating the CAP, just to reflect some of those changes along the way?
Yeah, Chair O'Halloran, Director Zombor, we are actually giving the plan to DPI, and they will be approving the plan as we move forward, and this will then respond to items within the CAP 2.0. We do not anticipate a CAP 3.0. This will replace that.
Okay. Any follow-up? Okay. Any other members of the committee? All right. This was an informational item, so no action is required. So, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 6 is action on monthly finance matters, authorization to make purchases, report on change orders in excess of $25,000, acceptance of the report on revenues and expenditures, report on contracts under $50,000, and cumulative total report on monthly grant awards, and acceptance of donations. The recommendation is that the board, 1, authorize the purchases, and 2, accept the donations as listed in the attachments with appropriate acknowledgement to be made on behalf of the board.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli is superintendent. For this item, the administration is requesting your approval of the monthly finance matters. Janine Adamczyk is here with me to address any questions you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We do not have speaker slips on this item.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Going once. perhaps quizzical looks? No? I don't want to rush anybody. All right. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Don't all rush in at once. There we go, Director Jackson.
Absolutely. So I move to approve administration recommendation of the monthly finance matters, the authorization to make purchases and report change orders in excess of $25,000 as read in this item.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation as listed in the attachments, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next item, please.
Item 7 is action on the award of exception to bid contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the exception to bid contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent, we're asking for your approval of this month's exception to bid contracts. The administration would like to note that we anticipate an update to this item at the full board on June 24th to include a contract with MGT for support in the Office of Finance.
Thank you. Before we go to committee members, for questions or comments, I have another speaker slip from Mr. Quentin Claiborne. And as you know, please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Hey, it's me, Quentin Claiborne, K-L-A-B-O-N. You have once again renewed the Elevate Virtual Instructor contract at $2 million a year. Please let this be the last year you do so. That is $2 million a year that will not go in the pockets of Milwaukee residents, nor be spent in our community. Instead, it's going to Chicago to a private company. That is $74,000 per teacher, about what you pay in-person teachers here, but for lower quality virtual instruction. You should be trying to grow your own teachers at scale. Yes, you do have the Wisconsin, Madison, and Alverno programs, but those cost you money and are producing too few teachers to fill classrooms currently. You can fix that tomorrow. Teacher apprenticeships are not on MPS's 2026 legislative agenda, which disappoints me. I've talked to you all directly about it. 47 states, including Wisconsin, have them. Former President Biden and the Education Deputy Secretary President Trump just had confirmed co-invented them. Reformer types support them, and both major teacher unions support them. In 2 years, Tennessee produced 610 apprentices in training and 187 graduates actually teaching in the classroom. Missouri has 359, Iowa has 439, Wisconsin has 8. Long story short, Republicans and Democrats here tried to cook something in 2023, but half-baked it. In Wisconsin's teacher apprenticeship program, teachers get 2 to 4 years of experience as paraprofessionals with increasing responsibilities under a mentor teacher. They get a traditional bachelor's degree in education, and the school, in this case the district, pays about $5,000 worth of their tuition per year and accompanying coursework. That means teachers leave college with quadruple the student teaching experience and their debt chopped in half. As a result, they'll be better teachers from day one and stick in the career longer. On top of that, it's a perfect way to move recent high school graduates or current paraprofessionals into the middle class. The problem, it costs districts money, so too few want to use the pilot. Thus, the Department of Workforce Development is keeping big districts like Milwaukee from joining the program until the program has guaranteed funding in the budget. You can solve this. Call the Joint Finance Committee tomorrow, as a bunch of other schools will do. Tell them to put just $2 million over the biennium in the budget for teacher apprenticeship grants that go directly to districts and schools like you. It means you can train bunches of teachers at scale and at zero cost who come from the community, will stay in the community, and will hit the ground running. Instead of sending millions of dollars to a shoddy private company in Illinois, that's too harsh, sorry. A private company in Illinois, sorry. Use your voice to create teachers here for free. Call Joint Finance before it is too late. Ask for $2 million over 2 years for the teacher apprenticeship program Republicans unanimously voted for in 2024, and make this the last year you outsource children's learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Claiborne. And I love the idea that the Joint Finance Committee just will pick up my phone call. I've tried, but thank you. I will take you up on that offer. Do committee members have any comments or questions to ask? Seeing none, okay. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Okay, Director Jackson.
Absolutely. I move to approve the administration recommendation on the action and award of exception to bid contracts.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation regarding the award of exception to bid contracts, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 8 is action on the award of professional services contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Will the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent, this evening we're asking your approval of the professional services contracts before you. Janine Adamczyk is with me to assist with any questions.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We do not have speaker slips on this item.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Oh, Director Herndon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we accept the recommendation of administration on this item.
Awesome. Is there any further discussion? Give it a second to air out. Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next item, please.
Item 9 is action on the request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and enter into the blanket purchase orders for textbooks and instructional materials and professional services contract for leasing of digital copy machines. The recommendation is that the board waive Administrative Policy 3.09 and authorize the blanket purchase orders and professional services contract as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli as Superintendent, the item before you on this evening's agenda is a request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09 to enter into blanket purchase orders for textbooks and instructional materials and professional service contract for leasing of digital copy machines. I have with me Ms. Janine Adamczyk to answer any questions you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We do not have speaker slips.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? President Zambor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. Would the administration be able to share if the textbook adoptions are the textbook purchases, are those new adoptions or are those books that were already using and supplementing the current?
Administration?
And it looks like it's world language, immersion textbooks. There's a few different contracts for those.
Thank you. It looks like we have someone joining us on stage to maybe answer President Zambor's question. Administration?
Good evening, Director O'Halloran, members of the board, Renee Laird-Adlon, District Library Media Specialist. And the question was, are these new?
Yeah, are they new materials, like new adoptions, or are we supplementing an existing inventory of textbooks?
This is a new textbook adoption for world languages.
Okay, and then, can I do a follow-up?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you just talk a little bit about how these were selected?
Administration?
Okay, so Renee, Director O'Halloran, Renee Laird-Adlon, District Library Media Specialist. And so we began the textbook adoption, and we formed teacher committees and also parent and community committees.
So before, I don't want to, so
President
we just
Zambor.
we followed the regular textbook adoption process. Okay, that's really all I wanted to know, is just make sure that we did the committees, and I know it's a very robust, it's a great process. I just wanted to make sure we followed it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But thank you for your willingness to give us an in-depth look at the robust process. I think we always appreciate that transparency, so thank you. President Zambor, do you have any other questions?
No, that's it. That's very helpful to know. Thank you.
Okay. Do any other committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson.
Yes. Wow, let me see. So I know just in my time, there's 2 years, we spent quite a bit on books, materials, things of that nature. And my question would be, I mean, I haven't yet seen a return as it relates to our scores and purchasing just the textbooks and everything else. So what now at least give us some assurance in spending this large amount of money on new materials?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran and Director Jackson, that is an excellent question. And I just want to, again, ask for some patience. The academic audit will be out, and one of the findings is going to be around our materials. And so I think it's going to be incredibly important that we address how we use materials, how we give teachers the training around the materials, and hold ourselves accountable for these really expensive purchases, and then look at our student results from use of those materials and doing evaluations of the materials. So I want you to know that that is going to be part of recommendations coming forward in the academic audit that I bring.
Director Jackson, do you have any follow-up?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other committee members? Questions, comments? Okay, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? I feel like I'm watching tennis, but not. Director Sambor.
I move approval of the administration's recommendation to waive admin policy 3.09, parent 9, parent E, and enter into the blanket purchase orders as attached.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation as attached, Director Herndon,
Excuse me, aye.
Director Jackson,
My eyes with trust with Dr. Castellas is what she said, so aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 10 is an update with possible action on findings from 2023 financial statement audit. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Thank you. And I just wanted to note that this is a follow-up item from the February 2025 meeting. We had the recommendation that we have a quarterly update. And so I want to thank you for bringing this item to the committee tonight. So with that, would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli is superintendent. This evening, I'm joined by Ms. Aicha Sava to provide you with an update on the findings from the 2023 financial statement audit.
Good evening, Chair O'Halloran and fellow committee members. This is the update for the 2023 audit findings. I do want to begin by saying that a lot of the findings that were in our 2023 audit directly overlap with a lot of the procedures and improvements we need to make in the CAP, because obviously we got to this certain point, which is why we had the CAP. So literally, like, all of that section 4 that I was discussing earlier, which is a lot of the process improvements, directly relate to most of our findings in here. And as I did mention in the February 2025 meeting, a lot of these, actually all of these findings you will see in the next month or two when Baker Tilly comes to present the FY24 audit. Like I said, I had mentioned that on the floor. There was really no way around that. But what I do really want to highlight today is that, we are in progress, and we are, trying to fix some of these problems. And again, as we mentioned earlier, we are getting some of those outside vendors to help us kind of write and formalize some of the new processes that we are designing. And then also, our first 2 findings really are over the financial statement close process and the timely reporting. And so those will be going into that timely reporting and getting everything done, but we will be revamping our processes in order to get back to that sound internal control environment. So, the highlight of this is that it's in progress and we will get there. And hopefully, for our FY25 audit, which will start, this summer, we will, be able to get rid of some of these findings for that audit. But those are the highlights, but I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any public speaker slips on this item?
We do not.
Okay. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. So just the audit, so Clifton Larson will be doing the fiscal year 25 audit. So when do they begin their field work roughly?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zambor, we will be actually meeting with them tomorrow to start getting when and how that field work will be starting, but it will be starting in the summer.
Follow-up?
I think another question, and I'm having like flashbacks to December of 23 with the meeting where we were told we're bringing in an outside group, they're going to help us with SOPs, or they've helped us with SOPs. You were not presenting at that meeting. Just how are you going to show the board that, I guess we need assurances so that when progress is being made, we need to know, because we were told, oh yeah, we have SOPs. And then here we are 2 years later and there's not SOPs. So what assurances can the board have that there's going to be really clear transparency, that what is developed with the help of outside vendors is actually what we need, that they're being put in place, just so that we're not here again?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zambor, I will commit to updating the board regularly on our progress and where we're going. This is something that I think is going to help us to establish trust, not just with the board, but with our public as well. And I think you will see that I am trying to be as transparent on all of these items and timely with these items so that you and the public can hear directly just where we are. I'm going to let you know when we're off track or when we're on track and what we're doing to fix it if we are off track. I'm really excited about this partnership. I think we have a clear plan going forward, and I'm happy to share the plan with the board as well once we have it finalized and bring that forward prior to your accepting it. I'm happy to speak to it at the next board meeting as well.
President Zambor?
On another note, so some of the findings are not necessarily financial findings. Some of them are around licensing requirements for teachers. And so we also can't, so some of this is not related to the cap. What are we doing to address the other findings that are not related to the finance department? 100%.
Administration.
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zambor, thank you for that question. I actually got a summary of the findings from our audit office. There are a number of findings. I've already addressed one in one department. I think you're aware of that. And so we just will continue to address the items in the other departments. I think that the operational plan also identified these pieces, and so it's aligning the operational audit and the findings in our finance audit, and being able to just have a clear plan forward about how we're going to address all of those items.
Do you have any follow-up?
Can I add something?
Administration, yeah.
Director O'Halloran and Director Zambor, Aicha Sava, Chief Financial Officer. I do want to assure you for some of those findings that are listed more towards the end of this document that are kind of the non-financial findings, we have, and actually way back into the fall and winter, kind of around the time I started when we had these findings, we have been convening cross-departmental meetings within, central office. So we actually, for some of those ones at the end, we've had the meetings, we've come up with the processes. So they're still in progress because, they need to be formalized and they need to be implemented consistently. But we've actually, our collaboration and getting those done have been really well. And also in our senior team cabinet meetings, they're always part of our conversation. So they're, all the way up to the chief level, down to directors and managers, there's been a lot of cross collaboration so that, we can remedy these findings.
Any follow-up?
I don't have any follow-up, but I also just want to thank the chair for making sure that this item is on the agenda. I know we asked for quarterly updates, and so just really appreciate you sticking to that and making sure that the board has space to talk about this on a regular basis.
Yes. Well, thanks. I don't know if I actually have to pass the gavel. Do we have any other questions? I can put myself at the end of the queue if there's, okay. I'm passing the gavel.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So administration said, Dr. Casellia said, that you can bring the plan for the surge, that surge plan can come to the next meeting. Just thinking through the next steps of when we would actually get an update. So in July, we have all of our committee work is done on that one day. So I don't know if maybe even if it would even have been feasible in July, but is this, for anybody who is interested in that update, including myself, does August sound good? September? I'm just trying to work out when it actually should be slotted to come back to make sure that in addition to this and all the other various quarterly updates that I'm making sure it gets on the calendar.
Administration.
Chair O'Halloran, happy to share it when the committee would be ready to hear it.
So I could hear it now. I'm just wondering from the administration standpoint when, I'm not trying to push if it's not, if things aren't ready to be shared, but when would administration think it would be, we can expect it to be presented?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran, we have a draft of that plan. We are having DPI look at that as well. And so I think once it's finalized, I'm happy to share that. And maybe a couple weeks, it'd be ready. I think it's going to be ready within a couple weeks. We just want to make sure that we have everything and also that we have the dedicated funding aside for it, for the vendor. So I'm just needing to button up a couple of things, but we feel really good about it.
Follow up.
Okay, so I'm going to pencil in August, and if that doesn't work out, then we can say September.
We will be more than ready by August.
I love that.
We will be implementing it by August.
Fantastic. That is great news. Can I have one more follow-up, please?
Go ahead,
Did you
please.
see her try to give me that gavel back? In the future for these quarterly updates, I know we focused on the finance. It would be nice if, especially if there are wins to share about the non-finance items, like hearing that, oh, there's a cross-functional team that's already met on this. Just if it's even oh, teams met on this date and this is the conclusion, just to hear, share out, some of that good work and the wins that have been we've realized along the way would also be really helpful and appreciated. There's more a comment than a question. My apologies. I'll take the gavel back.
I pass the gavel.
All right. Any other committee members, questions, comments? Okay, administration.
I have one.
Okay.
In the Chair O'Halloran, in the spirit of sharing wins more timely, what every month I give my superintendent report. I'd also be happy to share updates there on some of these items as well.
Well, I think I would love that, and I think the public would too. So we look forward to that. Speaking on behalf of all of the public. So I don't believe that this item requires action. So Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 11 is action on recommended FY26 Plan of Audits and Report on District Risk Assessment Plan. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Thank you. So in my script, it says, would the administration please present this item? But I don't know if it would be more appropriate for perhaps if the Office of Accountability and Efficiency could present this item, please.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. So annually, the Office of Accountability and Efficiency Audit Services brings forward for the board's consideration the annual plan of audits. This is your opportunity to see what the inputs as it relates to assessments of risk within the district to help develop what we think is a plan that helps making sure that we have clear sight of the kinds of areas that would benefit from an audit review to make sure that we have good compliance on policies and procedures that they exist today, but also that there's adequate internal controls to help meet the standards that the board has set within those policies. I have with me Mr. Paul Geib. He's going to walk you through a little bit more detail on the plan, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks.
Good evening, Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Paul Geib, Chief Auditor. So today I'm going to present the fiscal 23 annual audit plan and answer any questions. I did want to mention that the Audit Advisory Committee has also received the plan as well. And one note with regard to the year-end audits that we were just talking about, they will also be reviewing the audit reports, the findings, the continuing findings, and monitoring the corrective actions as well. Back to the plan. So we in Audit Services, we provide performance audit and investigative services to the Board of Directors. We follow government auditing standards, and as such, we do have to maintain an independent, objective, and unbiased approach to our work. The objective of internal audit is to assist all members of the MPS administration and the board in the effective discharge of their responsibilities that assist in improving student outcomes, the reason we're here. To do this, we will provide objective analysis, recommendations, and pertinent audit comments concerning activities that we review. Operational areas of higher risk include the finance department, human resources, and the operations area. In addition to the activities that are listed in the plan, I've also summarized the risk assessment survey results, and I did want to just spend a couple minutes on those results. The risk assessment is just one tool used to identify risks in operational areas. There were 77 responses received across 38 operational areas. This past year, we also had a superintendent search and a report on challenges that whomever the new superintendent was would be facing when they came into this position. We took a look at that report. We also took a look at the operational audit that was done by MGT per the Governor Evers. And then, of course, we had lead paint concerns with the district. So this past year was kind of a unique year in terms of assessing the multiple risks that the district was facing. Having a new superintendent come in is also considered not necessarily a negative risk, but it's a change in leadership, it's a change in operational areas, it's a change in structure. Glad to have you on board. So with regard to the risk assessment results, we did find that 95% of those who were surveyed were familiar with the fraud reporting tools. And again, those tools include a hotline, which you can leave an anonymous complaint. They also include an online form that can be accessed through the website or on your check advice. There's a link on your advice that will take you there. And again, those are anonymous reporting tools. One of the areas of concern that the risk assessment highlighted was staff turnover. 65% of those who responded to the survey said that there was a significant change in staffing. And along with that, they also, about a quarter said that turnover caused a disruption in services. We also found 19% of those that surveyed said that they did not have completed standard operating procedures. There were still areas of operations that did not document some steps that they take day to day. A lot of that is just knowledge that's carried in somebody's head, and then when they walk out the door, there is no transition of that knowledge. 14% reported fraud, waste, or abuse in their area, which was a slight increase from the prior year. And the other item I wanted to mention was 13% of those surveyed said that they had not received an annual performance evaluation. And I think that's something key to keep in mind, that you won't see that in the Baker-Tilly management letter, but the fact that we still don't have a real robust standardized performance evaluation process is, I think, another risk to the district, because you're trying to ensure you've got the most competent team, and you have metrics and ways of measuring them. So back to the plan, we had continuing audits as well as new audit activities in the plan. That means that we have partnership and charter school audits that by contract we have to perform, and then we have a cyclic school audit process. We're trying though to focus more of our resources on operational reviews, so we are completing the MPS Fleet Services review this summer. The Human Resources Foreign Country Recruitment audit is on our plan to work on, as well as an FMS billing and AIM work order system controls review, which I think will be important, especially as it relates to how we are monitoring and managing work orders with regards to paint or lead paint issues. And then finally, we have a public records request review that we're going to be conducting as well. City of Milwaukee had conducted a review of their public records request system a few years back. It's an area that has actually never been reviewed during my 25 years here, so we're going to take a look at that as well. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Before we go to the public or committee, I just wanted to, if any administration wants to, since it originally was said, would the administration please present the item if you have anything you'd like to? Okay. Do we have any public speaker slips on this item?
We do not.
Okay. And it looks like Director Zombor has a question.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran.
And then we'll go to Director Herndon.
So you mentioned the SOPs and evaluations as areas that stood out in the risk assessment surveys. Where in the audit plan would you kind of keep track of, would those be addressed anywhere? Is that something we'd have to add to look at that more closely?
Office of Accountability and Efficiency.
President Zombor, Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, with regard to the SOPs, we are going to do a follow-up in those areas where the individuals have indicated they don't have SOPs to get a status on those. And we're going to look at doing that. Right now it would be in September, but we're looking at trying to get a quarterly status update on that. With regard to performance evaluations, I'd be interested in understanding, so the MGT review, operational review, had a number of recommendations on the HR side. And I believe they had made mention of that piece as well. But I would be looking to see from HR how they're going to be responding to the MGT HR recommendations to determine if we would actually be doing some additional work.
Okay. Director Zombor, follow-up?
Maybe just a question for administration around the evaluation item. Is that something that you feel will be addressed in the MGT operational audit recommendations, or is that something like that we need to have audit services continue to look at for follow-up?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zomber, it is one of the things I've also identified as we've looked at having clear expectations, making sure people understand their roles and responsibilities, job descriptions, and then the performing to those job descriptions. So this is a critical piece of really having a highly excellent workforce, and people appreciate having performance evaluations and knowing, when they're hitting the targets within their goals and their job evaluation, and then also identifying for their supervisors areas of growth and where we can provide support, particularly timely support, so that they can grow and be supported in their work. So this is an area that we'll take on with our HR team. I believe that this is a piece for our talent management team, and I think it's probably going to be a finding within our HR audit, although it's not something that I asked them directly to look for. But it is something that I noticed as I was looking and getting more information about the district. So something that is important to do among all the other very urgent matters, but it will be getting my attention.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any follow-up? All right, Director Herndon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question evolves around something that I've complained about for quite some time over the years. In the school audits, there's a consistent pattern there with certain items that pops up every year to be, in some cases, a major problem for the school. One is who actually handles the books, the bookkeeping. Are they getting sufficient training? Because it would appear that they don't necessarily have training to, in far too many cases, to even balance the school's checkbook. Those keep coming over and over. The other thing is inventory management when the school receives product from the district that they've ordered and it's not properly entered into whatever system the district uses, because that, again, is repetitive over and over and over again and consistent in the school audits. So are we going to look at those two areas in particular since they're so repetitive?
And actually, both of those items came up in the pre-meeting that I had with audit, so I would love if audit can respond to that, and maybe then I can ask administration also for any input that you'd love to share. Start with audit.
Director Herndon, Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Paul Geib. So with regard to the school audits, bookkeepers are actually doing a good job. What happened is that under Superintendent Thornton, he actually instituted a process to put bookkeepers into schools. Prior to that, we did have challenges with secretaries that were trying to do the student activity fund balance, checking account balance, cash receipts, cash disbursements. I have not issued a school audit probably within the last 5 years that has a modified opinion on that financial transaction control. I do, however, still have issues with fixed assets, and that continues. However, I will say that, again, the reasons behind that more along the lines relate to staffing issues. Principals will say that they don't have adequate time and staff to do proper inventories in classroom by classroom. 24 years ago, when I first started here, and I had a full head of hair, I saw fixed assets as a problem, and it has continued. Has it gotten better? Incrementally, it has. One of the challenges was when we had COVID, you had a ton of Chromebooks going out the door, and there weren't a lot of controls around that process. And, it was, in some cases, it really was a very weak controls. You may have had a kid who had 5 Chromebooks. We did a review, actually, to take a look at the controls around Chromebooks, and we found that in some cases, that kid who had 5 Chromebooks had never logged into any of them. So, we got past that, and now, the most of this learning is not taking place with a Chromebook going home to a student, but some of those challenges still remain. We do a year-end summary of all the school audit findings that we give to the board. Usually in July, you'll get that. And it will give you the breakdown on the areas that we still have continuing findings and the percentage of schools that have that finding. So it'll be interesting to see if this year, if we see any improvement in terms of fixed assets. But on the financial transaction side, haven't seen those concerns.
Do you have any follow-up before we? Okay. And I just want to be clear that I think that the number of students with 5 Chromebooks would likely be few and far between. I don't want that to be the headline. So, administration, do you have any comments or insights to share as it pertains to bookkeepers or the fixed asset inventory management?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Eduardo Galvan. So in terms of our bookkeepers, yes, there is training for bookkeepers, and that's done yearly and as needed. More to the point of fixed assets, that is something that does continue to come up on our school-based audits. We did meet with procurement, with technology, and facilities and maintenance. As was mentioned, some of it has to do with, we've made some adjustments. For example, we used to get deliveries made in the summer. And sometimes when that happens, especially in a K-8 setting, we don't have a secretary there. The building engineering staff is oftentimes around different parts of the building, cleaning. So there were some things there that we've made adjustments. So with working with technology and with purchasing, so that we have a better understanding of when things like that are going to be delivered, so that we have a better way to intake them. We've also done improvements in terms of asset tagging. So those are all things that we know were an issue. We're continuing to monitor that on ways that we can improve and make it a more seamless transition. Other things, like just as simple as it may seem, but when a teacher takes a Chromebook home or a laptop home to do work, did we have the proper documentation that they had signed it out? And those are all things that we're going to continue to work on as an area that does continue to show up on our audits at the school level. And as was mentioned, it's also labor intensive. So how can we make it a more streamlined process so that our secretaries, our technology people can enter them into our system and then we can track them. Other issues in terms of when they're lost or stolen, is the proper documentation done and entered so that we have those on record. And those are all things that we're going to continue to work on.
I have one quick follow-up to that, Chair O'Halloran and Director. I just have a Chief Financial Officer. 2 follow-ups to Mr. Galvan. One is in the findings in item number 10, that was an external audit finding, and as we know from Mr. Geib, that's an internal audit finding. And the other thing I just wanted to point out was we did add those Chromebooks in, I don't know my policy numbers yet, but we did add them in a couple LRP meetings ago. So we are working on it, like Mr. Galvan said, and we do hope to eliminate those findings and eliminate it from all findings, internal and external audit.
Thank you.
That's good.
Do you have any follow-up over on this side? Any committee members over here? Director Jackson?
Yeah, so been a part of the district 25 years. So why now address the issue with open records? Has there been a processy violation or anything like that brought to the attention?
Audit, please.
Chair O'Halloran, Director Jackson, there has not been a violation brought to my attention. It really is, it's an area that we simply have not reviewed. And this is an opportunity to hopefully, work in partnership with Office of Board Governance to show that we're meeting the requirements that we need to meet for public records requests.
Do you have any follow-up?
No.
Okay. I'll pass the gavel. Just 2 comments.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, thanks. I just want to point out, as it says in the risk assessment survey summary, a high-risk area does not necessarily mean that an office is managed ineffectively or that it's not functioning properly. So some of these items, just because it's on this list for review, does not indicate that there is a failing. And especially as it pertains to the records requests, I know that we have gotten a lot more records requests recently. So I don't want that or any of the other items that are on this list to be flagged as problematic without, first doing our due diligence and actually doing the audit. So I just wanted to clarify that. I also wanted to clarify that the audit advisory committee will be meeting. My hope then is that they will review this, both the risk assessment summary, the plan of audits, and any other work. I think they're going to be jumping in right in July. So we can bring updates then throughout the year. And if there's anything that changes in this plan significantly or otherwise, we can bring that back to the committee for review so that I think I had said it in my comments before. I think this is a really important step in increasing the transparency and rebuilding credibility with our communities. So, and then the one other thing, what was I going to say? I'm so sorry. I do have one question, and perhaps audit can speak to it. Within the actual plan, there are estimated completion dates, and as we go forward with, kind of putting our mental schedule together, how realistic are the completion dates within this plan? Should we expect them to all be met, or are these aspirational completion dates in the plan?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, again, Paul Guy, Chief Auditor. So the plan right now that we are completing for fiscal 25, the audit activities that we had on that plan, we've actually met those plan goals. So we've actually exceeded the projects that we were planning to complete. So the dates that you have in there should be pretty close to being the dates that you'll see those audits. If there was an issue with a date that looks like it would not be met, we will give you a heads up. But at this point, the office is almost fully staffed. So I think I'm confident that we will meet those dates. And we will also have the Audit Advisory Committee kind of walking with us along the way here, because they'll be taking a look at those audits as well.
Thank you. Oh, wait, I'm going to take the gavel back.
I pass the gavel.
Okay. Director Zombor?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I did think of one more question as I was looking at this. We have the Human Resources Foreign Country Recruitment Audit. I guess my question, and this might also be a question for administration, I think we're scaling back the foreign recruitment, and so maybe this is something to bring to the Audit Advisory Committee if we're scaling back or potentially eliminating that type of recruitment. Does it make sense to audit it if we're not going to be engaging in that activity?
So do you want me to first maybe go to administration,
Sure.
and then we can have audit respond? So administration, do you care to speak on that, please?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Zombor, members of the committee, Carol Edie, Interim Chief Human Resources Officer. Yes, that is correct. We have put a hold on recruiting international teachers at this point. We are in the process of still supporting the teachers that we do have, but we have not discussed what the plan is going forward. We're going to see if we can fill most of our teacher vacancies with the staff that we have for the applicants that we're going to be bringing on board. So.
Thank you. And then perhaps audit, given changing practices, is this still a priority area within this plan?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the Committee, Paul Guy, Chief Auditor. I was aware that they were looking to put this kind of on a hold or slowing it down. However, there have been some significant expenditures that were made in that program over the last several years. So, I mean, even if the program is potentially kind of phasing out, we are probably still going to be taking a look at it for some compliance reasons. And in terms of the priority, though, of reviews, this one is one, though, that we still hope to complete within that timeline, though.
Director Zomber, any follow-up?
No, I think that covers it. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that potential change. That sounds good.
Okay, thank you. And, it would be nice if we had a country that wasn't so openly hostile to immigrants and we could welcome teachers and other people from other countries. Administration, did you have anything else? It looked like you might have one other item.
Chair O'Halloran, I just have a general comment about audit in general, and our focus under my leadership is to have a culture of continuous improvement so that we can prove to the public, rebuild trust, repair trust, and be transparent around our processes that we'll be deploying throughout the organization. And you'll see work plans from us and action items and goals that we set for ourselves and performance review. And these are the types of things that you'll see evidenced in my superintendent updates and our presentations, our reports, and this is the way that employees talk about their work. And so I think putting in place a culture of continuous improvement allows for times when you might fall short. And when you fall short, you learn and you grow. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all human. And I think that, we'll move from, kind of a culture, as the operational audit said, of keep fear and retaliation, where I think employees maybe have, hunkered down or been afraid to admit mistakes or ask for help, to one where they will be open to ask for help and admit mistakes so that we can correct them and learn from them and grow. So that's what continuous improvement is, and that's what we want best from our children, and so that's what we'll do within the culture of MPS.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So this was an informational item. No action is required. With that, we do need action. Legit says this is an informational item, so my apologies. Action is 100% required. Director Zomber, can we have some action, please?
I move to approve, it's probably the Office of Accountability's recommendation. Office of Accountability and Efficiency's recommendation and to approve the FY26 Annual Plan of Audits.
Perfect. Now, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the Office of Accountability and Efficiency's FY26 Plan of Audits, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Reza?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
And Chair O'Halloran?
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Well-oiled machine. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this meeting's agenda.
Madam Chair, you just said that. There being no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.